Get ready. Multiple senators are saying the stablecoin bill, the Genius Act, will be passed next week. This is a huge update. I'll give you all the details. And you won't believe what the Bank of International Settlements and central banks are doing with smart contracts and tokenization. It's very bullish. I'll give you all the details. Let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward. On your way in, please hit that subscribe button as well as the thumbs up button and leave a comment below. If you're listening on a podcast platform such as Spotify or Apple, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Folks, it was a big day for Mike Novogratz and Galaxy Digital. They went live public on the Nasdaq. This is another historical moment. We are seeing more and more crypto companies going public, whether that's through IPOs or SPACs or different types of methods to get listed. But incredible stuff here. Now, they have been public in Canada where they were listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange, but now they're here in the United States. And of course, because the United States is much more favorable to crypto, everyone is feeling free to do these things and expand their businesses and operate as business as usual versus how it was under Gensler and Elizabeth Warren and Biden for the past 4 years. So big win here, folks. Signs of the times and how bullish things are getting for this industry. Now, Senator Bill Hagerty came out today, and not only him, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, they both came out saying they're ready to pass the Genius Act next week. That's a stablecoin legislation. Here's what Senator Bill Hagerty had to say. Next week, the Senate will make history when we pass the Genius Act that establishes the first ever pro-growth regulatory framework for payment stablecoins. This bill will cement the US dollar dominance, protect customers, increase demand for US treasuries, and ensure that innovation in the digital asset space is in the hands of the United States of America, not our adversaries. Folks, this would be incredibly bullish if they are able to get this through next week. There have been some hurdles with Democrats, but the good thing is, if you know your politics, Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is a Democrat and Bill Hagerty is a Republican. We have bipartisan support, and to have Gillibrand leading on the Democrat front is very bullish, so she can rally some of the other Democrats to get this through. Incredible stuff here, folks. I'm very excited for next week to see how this plays out and to have both Democrats and Republicans working together to get this through. Here's what Bo Hines had to say. Many of you may have caught my interview with Bo Hines from not too long ago. He said, the Genius Act is about securing the future of American finance, stablecoins, strengthen US dollar dominance, modernize our outdated payment rails, and give Americans faster, cheaper, and more transparent ways to move money. Digital asset technology is the next generation of finance. The United States is ready to lead it. And Cody Carbone, CEO of the Digital Chamber, said, we're on the precipice of passing the Genius Act, one step closer to securing US dollar dominance in the digital age. A lot of work to be done, but the monumental leadership from Bo and others to get this close should not be unnoticed. We cannot waste this opportunity. So obviously referencing Bo Hines and David Sachs and their work they've been doing and helping to push Congress through, and the industry has also been weighing in. So the stage is being set here for next week to be a historic week with stablecoin legislation passed, and I think the market could rally off of this. We'll see. You know, it just depends on the charts and what is happening in the macro, of course. But as I've been saying, we are in a bull market. So good news can help move the price. It doesn't always help move the price because, you know, you have to look at the technicals and the sentiment and much more. But if everything aligns here, this could be really great. Now, folks, quick word from our sponsor, and that is Propy. Propy is leading the charge with putting real estate on chain. Folks, you can buy and sell real estate on Propy, and you can do it with cryptocurrencies. And of course, their platform is powered by blockchain. They've been putting titles and deeds on the blockchain. They've created NFTs for properties. So Propy is a licensed Web3 pioneer. They've been around since 2017, and they have facilitated over $4 billion in transactions. And for the escrow service, they use Coinbase, so the buying and selling of properties. And I'm a Propy token holder. I have been since 2018. When I saw this project and company, I was like, wait a minute. If we're headed to the future that I think we are with everything on the blockchain, I don't see anyone else disrupting the real estate industry, and probably was. So I grabbed up a whole bunch of the tokens. So I'm bullish on this project. And I've interviewed the CEO and many folks from this company, and they're doing some great stuff. And you can get some free property tokens by participating in a campaign they have where you can share their video, sign up, and much more. It's a great way to get some free tokens. So if you'd like to learn more, visit the links in the description. Now, folks, look at this news. The Federal Reserve Bank of New York and the Bank of International Settlements are testing smart contracts to explore tokenized monetary policy. Of course they are. If we are creating a world with stablecoins and tokenized treasuries and bonds and funds and all these things, and everything will be running on the blockchain. It's what I've been telling you guys. Governments, economies, markets will be running on the blockchain. What do the central banks have to do? They have to be able to plug into the blockchains, have interoperability, be able to monitor all of this, right? Common sense will tell you that. So we're seeing the start of this, and let me give you some more details here. So central banks are experimenting with smart contracts to implement monetary policy in tokenized environments, signaling a growing interest in integrating blockchain technology into traditional finance. According to a joint research study by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's Innovation Center and the Bank for International Settlements, BIS, Innovation Hub Swiss Center, smart contracts could offer central banks flexible, rapid response tools in a tokenized financial system. The study, dubbed Project Pine, tested a prototype generic customizable monetary policy tokenized toolkit for further research by central banks, according to a BIS report published May 15th. The smart contract toolkit was fast and flexible, the BIS wrote. In hypothetical scenarios, the central bank was able to add and change tools instantly. My goodness, this is incredible, folks. Wake up if you are still on the fence, because the private sector and the public sector are moving in tandem, and they're both headed towards the same direction, and that is crypto and blockchain. And as I've been saying for years, blockchain is the next layer on top of the internet. It will change the way we transact and do business and how we trust each other. And with all the assets on the blockchain via tokenization, once again, the central banks are going to have to plug into all of this and be able to operate it in this environment and understand what's happening. So this is so bullish. I know it seems like boring news, central bank, BIS, blah, blah, but they wouldn't be doing this if the future wasn't what we're talking about here. And again, there's a lot of people out there saying this is a scam, a Ponzi, blah, blah, blockchain is crap. It doesn't work. Yet the biggest institutions in the world are participating, and even the governments and their central banks. Folks, count yourself lucky. If you are here, you understand what the hell is happening and you're taking your bets. So the report emphasized that if tokenization becomes widely adopted for money and security, smart contracts could play a central role in how monetary policy is executed. Incredible stuff here, guys. Incredible stuff. All right, moving ahead. We got an update with World Liberty Financial Stablecoin. It's now available on multiple networks via Chainlink. I'm bullish on Chainlink. Many of you know I hold that in my portfolio. So World Liberty Financial's USD1 stablecoin is now operable across multiple blockchains through Chainlink's CCIP. USD1, a US dollar-backed stablecoin, has seen its adoption grow and reach $2 billion in market capitalization. The CCIP integration addresses cross-chain security vulnerabilities, which have historically cost users billions, the firm said. So even Trump's crypto businesses are expanding and building and using multiple blockchains because interoperability is so important. It's going to be a multi-chain world. And mostly his kids are running, these businesses like Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. And in fact, Donald Trump Jr. spoke a consensus saying the banks made the biggest mistake of their lives. So he's talking about how they fought crypto. He said there's a famous saying that sometimes the enemy of your enemy is actually your best friend. Eric Trump told a crowd at Consensus in Toronto, Canada. That was the Trumps with the crypto community, and I think the banks made the biggest mistake of their lives. So we know the banking incumbents as I've been saying for a long time, are the ones who weaponize Elizabeth Warren and Gary Gensler. Because how dare you move money outside of them, right? You think about JP Morgan, the world's largest bank, and they're plugged into the Fed and they've been running this show for a long time, making tons of money, both on payments as well as investments, right? Because they have their investment arm. But how dare you go outside of them and go buy tokens on a blockchain? And years ago, they couldn't touch it, right? They couldn't custody it, they couldn't trade it, they couldn't touch it. So you can imagine why Jamie Dimon and all these folks were out there talking negatively about Bitcoin and crypto. It's crap. You'll lose all your money. It's a scam. Yet they've been trying to build their own version behind the scenes. JPM Coin, Quorum. Just this week, I told you folks about JP Morgan building on Ondo because they realized public blockchains are the way to go. No one wants to use the walled garden private blockchain. Why would I trust JP Morgan's or Bank of America's or whoever's private blockchain when you can manipulate it? But on a public decentralized blockchain, it's fair game, it's open, and different folks can plug in and build, and we can transact safely because it's a public blockchain that's decentralized. So that was the game. That's why Gensler was fighting back and all that. He was lobbied. Elizabeth Warren was lobbied. You saw Jamie Dimon and Elizabeth Warren in a hearing, both ganged up together against crypto, right? They came out saying all kinds of negative stuff, and yet look at what JP Morgan is doing. So this is what was going on. And then Operation Choke Point 2.0, they try to debank the crypto industry and much more. So it's incredible. But I've said it for years now. Disruptive technology always wins. There's this saying: first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. And folks, we are in the then you win phase. Look at this. Brian Armstrong, Coinbase CEO, tweeted out the following: that crypto lending markets are moving on chain. Over $200 million borrowed on Coinbase retail loans. This was $100 million 2 weeks ago. So we are seeing borrowing and lending on the rise again. This is very good for the market. Now we got to make sure it's done right, because we saw what happened in the last bull market when it wasn't done right. And there was a lot of lies, 3 Hours Capital, Celsius, FTX, of course, and some other folks, BlockFi as well, right? So I think the industry has matured. All the proper safeguards are there, but you also have to do your research. If you're doing any type of borrowing and lending, understand the network it's being done on, which exchange. I think Coinbase is very reputable, of course. They're a public company, so they are held to a higher standard. So just be careful, do your research, cross your T's, dot your I's, and double check everything. But if this is done right, it will open up a world of opportunity where if you're holding out to your crypto, you put it in a smart contract, you lend it out and you earn some yield. And obviously there's terms to that. If it's a 6-month term, year, or whatever, then you get it back. That will be amazing for the crypto industry. And it would also allow us to bridge easily to real world transactions like mortgages and loans and all kinds of stuff with TradFi and much more. So this is really good to see. Folks, that's the news. Let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Hit the thumbs up button. A great way you can support me if you appreciate this content is by subscribing to my free email newsletter. It's 100% free. Link will be in the description. Check out my book on Amazon. It's available in paperback and digital. And my course at mycryptocourse.com. Thank you for watching and listening. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you all later.